The personal data of around 3 billion people has reportedly been stolen in a hack, according to a complaint filed in court Thursday. Bloomberg Law was the first to report the filing. Now, if confirmed, this would be among the biggest breaches in terms of the number of individuals affected. Here with more, we've got Cassandre Coyer, who is a privacy reporter at Bloomberg Law. Cassandre, great to have you here on the show with us. You've been covering this and reporting on it. So just give us the scope of this and what exactly may have been compromised.
Yeah, so we're still waiting for clarifications on if that number is actually accurate. The company hasn't come out and provided any additional details. So what we know, or what I know, is from this complaint, and the cyber group actually is the one that came out and said, hey, we have all this data and we're going to post it online and we're going to sell it for, I think it was around $1 million or more. It's hard to know at this point exactly how this breach happened, when it happened, or the exact data that was contained. Usually in these types of incidents and in the type of complaints that we see, it's often credit card informations, names, addresses, Sometimes it can be, depending on the data that was collected in the first place, by the company biometrics. So that can be pictures, fingerprints. Here we know that Jerico Pictures is a background check company. So you can think about the types of data that usually are gathered to proceed with those background checks. So that's probably the kind of data that's going to be at play here and involved.
And what do we know about the organization National Public Data?
I don't know much about them other than they're used by a lot of companies to do background checks. I know that it scrapes a lot of information online as well. So it's not just collecting data directly from companies, but also scraping, meaning taking information that's already publicly available online and sort of gathering it all in this huge data set.
And with that in mind, I mean, what does the time frame look like for us to get more information on this, knowing that there have been lawsuits that are now getting ready to go forward as well?
So it really depends. We see in those complaints that it ultimately comes down to when the company officially publishes a notice of a breach. And in those notices, you usually get a little more information in terms of the scope of the breach, more exact date of when it might have happened, and the specific kind of information that was involved. Companies do have requirements for when they need to report those breaches to federal agencies like the FCC. Sometimes they can issue those notices really quickly. Sometimes I see complaints where the company hasn't sent a notice letter or any more information until months later. Given the fact that this is a pretty big breach, like you mentioned, I expect that we should find out more soon. But again, it really depends on when that company takes those steps to provide more information to the individuals that are affected.
How will, and I guess you were just about to get it at the end there, how will people know if they are affected?
So again, through those notice letters and notice of breaches, usually this is when the company will reach out to the consumers. You may have gotten one of these notices before. I know I certainly have. They either come in a letter in the mail that says, hey, we are informing you that your data may have been compromised or may have been involved in such and such breach. Sometimes it comes in an email. So I would say through those methods. Sometimes the company also will post on its website sort of a very public and general statement about a breach that may have happened. So these are some of the ways that you may find out that your data was involved in a data breach.
All right, Bloomberg Law privacy reporter Cassandre Coyer, thank you so much for taking the time. Great reporting on this. We'll be continuing to track any developments around it. And I hope I don't get that email.
You might.
Oh, no.